On the lineup today, Eastern and Western Conference Awards 1 month into the season, and a Thanksgiving football preview. Stick around. Hello and welcome to Lions Lineup. I'm your host, Harrison Duhr, and I'm joined here today by Pat Boyle and Pete Kennedy. On the lineup today, our analysts will be breaking down their first month NBA award winners, as well as their predictions for the NFL's Thanksgiving Day games. Let's get right into it, guys. First question, who is your Western MVP? Pete?
So far, my Western MVP goes to Steph Curry. He's been a little banged up, battling some injuries as he usually is, but he's been very, very good this year. He's averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. He's becoming more than just a prolific scorer in the league, but a great point guard who's making his teammates a lot better. Klay Thompson's having one of his best seasons, and I give a lot of credit to that, to Steph Curry, and his Warriors are looking very, very strong. He's my MVP for the West so far.
All right, Pat?
Well, I'm going to go with Kevin Love and the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, come on, the human double-double. You got to give him some credit sometime. The guy's picking up right where he left off last year. He's got almost 27 points a game to go with 13.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and a half a block. I mean, if him and Ricky Rubio stay healthy for Minnesota, they're not only going to compete in the West, they're going to succeed in the West. And a lot of people are criticizing them so far. They've lost 3 out of their last 4 games to start at 7-5. They're off to a bit of a slow start after starting off 3-0 with wins over Orlando, Oklahoma City, and the Knicks. I mean, let them gel. Rubio missed 25 games last year to the injury. If they continue to play together as a strong team, they're going to succeed in the West. And I expect them to lock up maybe a top 4 seed in the West and give Oklahoma City or San Antonio a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I really can't argue with that. Kevin Love has been playing out of his mind so far this year. He's shooting threes like he is the best three-point shooter in the league, and he's playing down low like a beast. Can't argue with that pick.
He's shooting 48% from the field, 36% from beyond the arc. The guy's almost a complete package player.
It's really unreal, actually.
All right, good stuff, guys. Now we're going to switch it over to the Eastern MVP. Pat, I'm going to start with you on this one.
To many people's dismay, I'm not going to go with LeBron James. I'm going with Paul George, the Indiana Pacers. I mean, the guy's been an absolute animal so far. He's playing with – you can see the improvement from even just last year. He's playing with so much swagger. That Indiana Pacers squad are rallying around him. He's averaging almost 24 points per game. He's shooting 47% from the field, 7 rebounds per game to go along with 3 assists per game. He's got Indiana off to their best start in franchise history at 9-1. They're 6-0 at home. They're going to be extremely difficult to beat this year at home. Bankers Life Fieldhouse is comparable to CenturyLink Field when they get going. Everybody's got gold and blue. Everybody's wearing Paul George jerseys. We're seeing shades of Reggie Miller here.
Yeah, he really is something else. I don't disagree with you, but I also am going to say LeBron James, I'm going to leave out of this conversation. He's the clear-cut MVP in the league. He is playing out of his mind. 27 points, shooting 62% from the field. That's unheard of. But I'm just going to leave him to the side because he's another story. My Eastern MVP so far this year is Jeff Teague. That sounds kind of ridiculous. He's on the Hawks. They're a solid team. They've had some big wins this year, but he's averaging 19 points, 9 assists, a steal and a half a game, about 3 rebounds, and he's playing very well. He's becoming a top point guard in the league this year. He's been average at best, like up and down throughout his career so far. But this year he's turned it around. He's looking like a superstar, and he's been very valuable to the Hawks.
It'll be exciting to see what Atlanta does.
Yeah, they have a lot of good bigs with Al Horford and Paul Millsap. If Jeff Teague keeps this play up with those big guys banging down low, they're going to be tough to beat.
All right, you heard it here first on Lions TV. Jeff Teague for Eastern MVP. Now we're going to take a look at the rookies. Pete, start with you. Western rookie.
Western rookie is pretty tough. There's not a rookie in the West who is really standing out with their performance. There's Steve Adams. There's a couple other guys, but I'm going to go with Ben Macklemore from the Sacremento Kings. He's shown a real good ability to score so far this year. He's averaging 9 points in just about 20 minutes a game, which the numbers don't jump out at you, but he's shown the ability to shoot the ball and the ability to score. He's shooting about 37% from 3, which is very impressive for a rookie. I think he becomes a pretty good scorer in this league.
All right, Pat?
Well, you mentioned Steve Adams. He's my pick for Western Rookie of the Year. Not a lot of people know about him. I mean, he's coming straight out of Pittsburgh, hailing from New Zealand. He's a 7-foot center who I think can be a legendary shot blocker. So far, he's got 5 points per game and 5 rebounds per game to go along with 1.3 blocks per game, and only averaging about 15 minutes off the bench. For Oklahoma City. He had a phenomenal game versus Detroit. He put up 17 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, which shows the kid's got talent. I mean, he blocked 2 shots versus Washington. He blocked 2 shots versus Milwaukee. He plays hard. You can see he's settling into the NBA. Like you said, there's not many exciting rookies. You got Macklemore, Steven Adams.
In the West, at least, yeah. There's a lot of exciting rookies in the East. That's
in the West.
Story.
Gal Meckel, and right now Adams is my favorite, especially because he's playing for Oklahoma City, which is such an exciting team to watch.
They need him there because his athleticism with that huge body and that big frame is going to be key for them because they get banged down low sometimes. Serge Ibaka can't do it all himself. He's only real big there. Steve Adams, he's pretty impressive.
All right, Pat, how about the Eastern rookie?
Oh, no surprise, Michael Carter-Williams, Philadelphia 76ers. The kid exploded onto the NBA scene the first week. They upset the Heat on their opening night. I think Philadelphia 76ers fans thought they were going to win the NBA title after that game. He dropped 22 points, 12 assists, 9 steals, and 7 rebounds. The kid almost had himself a triple-double.
Almost quadruple-double
in his first game in the NBA. That's no coincidence. The kid is good. He's coming out of Syracuse. He played under Jim Boeheim. He coached him well. This kid's going to reach his potential. He's out with a foot injury right now. He's missed the last 4 games, and Philadelphia is 1-3 in their last 4 games. So you can see his influence on the team is obvious.
Yeah, Michael Carter-Williams is one of those guys who just got thrown into the fire. He said, you're a rookie. Who cares? We're not that good. You're just going to play. And he just came and showed up. It's day one. And I was skeptical. I was not a big Michael Carter-Williams fan going into the year. I saw him play a lot in Syracuse, and I thought he was a ball hog. He's not been a ball hog this year. He's making his teammates better. But I agree with you that he's so far the Eastern Rookie of the Year, but I'm going to give someone a little shout out on the Milwaukee Bucks, Nate Walters. You may have heard of him. Okay. He played for South Dakota State in college, and he was like a phenom, big-time scorer. In the NBA, people didn't think he was going to be very good. This year, his numbers don't jump out, but he's averaging 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. And also, while doing that, he's only turning the ball over once a game, which is very impressive. Brandon Knight went out in Milwaukee, and a lot of weight dropped on his shoulders as a young rookie. And he's shown up, and he's doing his job, and he's been a good rookie this year.
All right. Now we're going to take a look at the comeback players. Pete, who is your Western comeback player in the NBA?
My Western comeback player so far is Russell Westbrook. I'm not a big Russell Westbrook fan to begin with. I think he needs to mature as a point guard to be more successful. But coming off this ACL injury, he has looked like he never got hurt before. He's explosive. He's averaging 23 points per game. 5 assists, 5 rebounds. He's really playing well, and he's definitely come back from injury just fine.
All right, Pat?
Mine's sort of a prediction since he hasn't played this year yet, and as soon as I say that, you know who it is, Kobe Bryant. I mean, come on, it's Kobe Bryant. There's no surprise. The guy is timeless. I mean, I don't care if he's got a ruptured Achilles. I don't care if he's 35 years old. He put up 27 points per game up until the last week of the season when he got injured. He's going to come back. He's already back in practice. He's predicted to come back in the next 2 weeks. He's going to drop at least 20 points per game this year. You know it, if not more. And I think the Lakers, although the many criticisms that they're going to have about not making the playoffs, I think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think Kobe's going to have another really good year.
Do you think they'll get in over under a 5 seed?
No, I think maybe 6 or 7.
Okay,
I think they're going to have to battle because right now they're under 500, and you can see that they definitely need Kobe back. And once they get him back, I think they're going to take an enormous step towards getting towards the playoff.
Okay. Pat, how about your Eastern comeback player of the year?
My Eastern comeback player, the most obvious choice, Derrick Rose. Before the season started, it's felt like an eternity since the NBA has last seen him play. And although he's had some problems with his shooting so far, he's shooting under 35% from the field, but give the kid a break. He was the MVP 2 years ago. He's 24 years old. I mean, you got to be patient, and that's hard for Chicago Bulls fans now to be patient with Derrick Rose. But you got to be patient. They're gonna start getting. They got Dang, him, Boozer, Noah. I think they've got one of the best starting lineups in the East, and of course, Coach Thibodeau is going to have them playing well, and I think they're going to get a top 4 seed in the East.
All right, Pete.
You can't not pick Derrick Rose in this situation. I mean, there's not another person in the East who is coming back from something serious like that, and there's not someone so impactful for their team that's coming back from an injury. So the obvious answer is Derrick Rose. You basically touched all the bases there. I don't really need to say too much about that.
Okay. Now the final award we'll take a look at is Coach of the Year, starting in the West. Pete?
My Western Coach of the Year is a little interesting. I'm going with Jeff Hornacek. He is the new coach of the Phoenix Suns. Now the Phoenix Suns are only 5-5.
They're playing well.
They are playing very well. No one had any expectations for the Suns. We thought they were going to be pretty bad. But he has Eric Bledsoe, Morris The Markieff Morris playing really well, and the Goran Dragic, Eric Bledsoe duo, the 2 point guards playing together side by side, is actually working out very well. And Jeff Hornacek has his team playing beyond its potential.
All right. How about you, Pat?
A lot of times, the Coach of the Year NBA is either given to one of the most dominant teams or a team who really has surprised us. And although Phoenix has surprised us, I think a team that has surprised even more is the Portland Trail Blazers. And head coach Terry Stotts has them playing ridiculous. And the funny thing to mention, after Portland's opening night loss to Phoenix and they started 2-2, there were talks of him already being fired. And he put those rumors aside. Since then, they've won 7 in a row. They're sitting second in the Western Conference at 9-2. They've beaten Denver. They beat San Antonio. San Antonio's only loss so far came to Portland. He's got Aldridge, Lopez, Nicholas Batum, Wesley Matthews. They're all playing well under Stotts' style, and it's been showing. I feel like they're a lot like the Denver Nuggets last year. Not a lot of superstar talent, but they're playing well under the coach's style. And not to mention George Karl, Denver Nuggets Coach of the Year last year. So
I love their
Terry
lineup.
Stotts is my pick.
I really do. I love the Damian Lillard, Wesley Matthews, Batum, and Aldridge combo. It's 4 people who are very capable to play and be really successful in this league. Batum is such a great team player, and he's got those Blazers playing great.
Absolutely. All right, Pat, how about your Eastern coach?
In the East, once again, going with the Indiana Pacers, Frank Vogel. He's got him off to him and George, he got him off to their best start in franchise history. He pushes his team to its limits. You see, they started off 6-0. They had played, I think, 4 nights in a row, or I think they played Brooklyn. And they could have rested their starters, but no, he had Paul George in there. He had all his starters, and Paul George said, I was really tired. My legs were killing me, but we pushed it down. They got a 96-91 victory to start, and then they went 7-0. And since then, they lost a couple nights ago, but still, they're 9-1. Frank Vogel has them playing tough basketball. 20 to 25 years back? About 20 years back, he was a student manager for the Kentucky men's basketball team under Rick Pitino. So you know how far he's come. He took over in 2011. He's made the playoffs every year, and each year they've gone a round further. They lost in the first round. Then 2 years ago, they lost in the conference semifinals. Last year, they lost to the Heat in Game 7. This year, I think that trend's going to continue. I think they're going to dethrone the Miami Heat and reach the NBA title.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold prediction. I don't know how far I'm going to go with that, but I do agree that Frank Vogel is the clear coach of the Eastern Conference so far. 9-1, you said it all. He has a lot of talent to deal with one team. And that sounds like it's not a problem. Great, I have so much talent. It's hard to do. Ask some coaches who had some great players. Eric Spoelstra had to deal with it his first year, and they struggled. Frank Vogel is figuring it out. George Hill, Paul George, they are playing so great together. Frank Vogel's great job.
Okay. And the final thing we'll take a look at on our NBA segment is the starters for each All-Star squad. Starting in the West, Pete, who are your All-Star starters?
My Western All-Star starters are point guard Chris Paul, another guard Kevin Martin, Kevin Durant, Kevin Love, and Dwight Howard. The only one that might jump out at you is Kevin Martin, but he is playing ridiculous. You mentioned before how the Timberwolves are doing very well this year. He is a very big reason why. He's averaging about 22 points a game, and he is shooting the lights out. Now, I know people like Kobe Bryant always end up making the All-Star team, and they always end up getting a start because it's a popularity contest. I'm looking at it more practically and saying Kevin Martin deserves to be an All-Star starter. He's playing that well this year.
All right. How about you, Pat?
Well, I've got about the same lineup. I've got Chris Paul in there. He's averaging 20 points per game to go with 13 assists, which is ridiculous. You've got Durant, who's obviously going to be in the top 3 for the scoring race, going to be a legitimate MVP contender again. LeBron's taken that away from him the past 2 years. You got Kevin Love, who I mentioned before, Dwight Howard, who from last year playing with the Lakers, he's put aside any rumors about him not playing well with the Rockets. He's got 18 points per game, 14 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. And then my shooting guard, another Rocket, James Harden. That kid can just score. He's averaging 25 points per game, and Houston's playing real well so far. So those are my 5 All-Star starters for the West.
All right, sounds good. How about your Eastern All-Stars, Pat?
For the East, I got Kyrie Irving from Cleveland. He's averaging 21 points per game, 7 assists, And then I've got, even though the Knicks aren't playing well, Carmelo, he's going to score. Paul George, LeBron James, obviously. And then the center, a returning All-Star, Chris Bosh.
Okay.
My lineup is very similar. I have the same Kyrie, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James. But my center, I'm going with Roy Hibbert. His numbers don't necessarily jump out at you, but he plays such quality defense and locks up that paint for such a good defensive Indiana Pacers team that he deserves an All-Star appearance.
Which is funny because last year there was a lot of talks that he's not a defensive player even with his size. He put on 11 pounds over the summer, and they said he ran sprints in the California hills to get to get his agility, to get his speed up.
Yeah,
and he put on 11 pounds, and he's become a lot more efficient on the defensive end.
He's a presence there. He is tough to score on, and he's tough to stop when he's getting the ball down on the low block because he's so big and so powerful. But yeah, he's my pick for center. I think Chris Bosh, he just hasn't been doing enough lately to be an all-star. If he makes it, it's because popularity, and there's no one else to pick.
Well, with Bosh,
guy.
Obviously he's always overshadowed by Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, but there are times where they need him to step up, and he does.
He does.
And he can shoot from the elbow. He's got the size. He bangs down low. And
sometimes. when he needs to sometimes. Yeah. That's it.
But I mean, when the Miami Heat need Chris Bosh to step up, you can see he does it.
Yeah.
Okay. That will do it for our first segment. We'll be back with some Turkey Day predictions right after the break. Welcome back to Lions Lineup. Up next, our analysts will be giving us our thoughts on the NFL's 3 Thanksgiving Day games. All right, our first game, Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. Pete, what's your pick?
I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. I know the question is Aaron Rodgers going to be back and playing for the Packers? If he's not, I definitely pick the Lions. If he is coming back, I still think I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions. They've been playing really well lately, and they're a very good team. They got a great, potent offense that are very tough to stop. I don't think the Packers are good enough to stop them.
And don't forget, Green Bay held Detroit to 9 points last time they played them. But also, it is tough to predict because you see Aaron Rodgers. Do they want to bring him back against Detroit, who's got Ndamukong Suh? They've got a tough rushing defense. Tough pass rush. So maybe want to play it safe and hold him out. But if he doesn't play, there's no way Tolzien and Green Bay's offense will be able to keep up with Stafford and Megatron. I'm going to predict Detroit's going to win. Although I said Green Bay did hold Detroit to 9 points last time they played each other, it was at Lambeau. I don't think that's going to happen again. If Rodgers does play, it's a whole different ballgame because Green Bay's offense, they're going to eat up clock. He can work with Jordy Nelson and James Jones. It'll also take pressure off Eddie Lacy, who's been doing all the offensive work lately, and he's been proving himself for offensive Rookie of the Year candidate. But if Rodgers does play, it also allows the defense to rest. And in turn, it creates so much influence on the game. We're working at a completely different ballgame. I think Green Bay is going to win again if Rodgers plays.
Okay. I think it's also important to note that this year the Detroit Lions are actually 3-1 within their division. So for the most part, they're taking care of the big games that they need to. For our second game, the Oakland Raiders at the Dallas Cowboys. Pat, what's your pick?
This is a very interesting matchup. You got Rashad Jennings and Terrell Pryor in a tough Oakland run defense versus Tony Romo and Des Bryant and Jason Witten. Oakland's got the 4th best run defense in the NFL with Pryor and Jennings rushing for nearly 1,000 yards. However, that being said, Dallas has the 29th best run defense and the worst passing defense in the league. But Dallas is 28th in rushing versus Oakland's 6th-ranked run defense. So the game plan is for Romo is to throw, and throw.
Like it usually is.
Yeah. This is an Oakland pass defense that was infamously torched for 7 touchdowns by Nick Foles. And I think Romo's going to be looking for Bryant and Witten all day long. So the question is Oakland going to be able to stop Dallas' passing game? I don't think so. I think Dallas, and it's Thanksgiving. It's the Cowboys. I think they're going to win this one by 20 points.
Pete?
I think the Cowboys are going to win this one too. I just don't think the Raiders have enough offensive firepower to keep up with the potent Dallas offense. Tony Romo, all the criticism he gets, he could put up points on the board. And against a team like the Raiders, he's going to have no problem slicing up that defense and putting some points on the board where the Raiders just won't be able to keep up.
Yeah, and I agree. If Terrell Pryor isn't healthy too, I mean, it's going to make it that much harder for the Oakland Raiders as well. Finally, our last game, the night game. Pittsburgh Steelers at Baltimore Ravens. Pete, what are you thinking?
I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have been playing pretty well lately. Big Ben looks like Big Ben for once, and we haven't seen it all year until just a week or two ago. Antonio Brown's having a great season. He looks like one of the best receivers in the whole league right now. And between him and Emmanuel Sanders, I think the Steelers are going to be able to put enough points on the board where they're just going to slightly edge out the Ravens. It's going to be a close game. You know, when the Steelers and Ravens play, it's always close. I expect like a 17-14, maybe a 24-17 win for the Steelers.
Okay. Pat?
It's 2 usually dominant teams who are fading out of playoff contention. Baltimore Ravens are the defending Super Bowl champions. They got a lot of problems. The offensive line, Ray Rice, the defense, the Steelers' defense isn't what it used to be also. I mean, so what can we expect in this game? Baltimore's D is in the middle of the ranks, as it usually is. I mean, well, not as it usually is. Now that Ray Lewis and Ed Reed are gone, I mean, we can't expect them to be a top-notch defense. Big Ben Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown and the 7th-ranked passing attack are going to go to work. Although Pittsburgh's rush defense isn't what it used to be, they're still pretty good at the pass defense and the defensive end of the passing game. And I think they're going to shut down Joe Flacco because you see Ray Rice and that run game is ranked 28th in the NFL.
They've been non-existent this year.
They're going to have so much trouble trying to run the ball. I think they're going to rely a lot on Flacco, and I think Pittsburgh secondary, Troy Polamalu and them, they're going to pick him off at least twice, and I think they're going to win around 23-13.
Yeah, I think Le'Veon Bell has a big game too. Yeah. He's been playing pretty well lately.
Pittsburgh's going to walk out of Baltimore with the win on Thanksgiving.
All right. It's definitely an important game for both teams, as you guys said, because whoever loses is seriously in jeopardy of making the playoffs, no doubt. Well, that will just about wrap things up for this edition of Lions Lineup. Remember, if you're interested in joining LTV, be sure to email us at ltv@tcnj.edu, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For Pat Boyle, Pete Kennedy, I'm Harrison Duhr. Take care, everyone.